I'm going to get started. Welcome, everybody, to Northern Alliance training today. I'm going to be going over the proper buyer and seller protocol. Now, when I talk about buyer and seller protocol, what I'm really talking about is from the time any appointment is set, whether it is a buyer or seller appointment, what the proper steps are in order to get them to a close. Now, it's very important that you understand the more touches you have with somebody. And when I talk about touches, I'm talking about conversations, I'm talking about giving them something, I'm talking about emails, I'm talking about any kind of contact that you have with them. Sending something to somebody's house is considered a contact, sending them something of value. Now, the way you got to think about it is this: when a seller or a buyer decide they're going to sign with you and work with you, they are essentially marrying you. So think about it this way. I always like to use this analogy. If you're going to go on, if you're going to marry a guy or a girl, okay, do you think it's going to happen the first time you meet them? If you've had no contact, if there's been no follow-ups, if there hasn't been enough dates, it's not going to happen. You're building trust with the person before you meet them. Okay. To give you an example, I have a listing appointment tomorrow. Okay. I set the appointment yesterday. From yesterday until Friday, which is when the appointment is, there's a bunch of different things I'm going to do in order to get that person to trust me more and to see my company or myself as valuable. Now, what are those steps? And I'll get into those steps, but I want you guys to understand that most agents, what they do is they set up an appointment quickly and then they just show up on the appointment and they expect to get a listing signed. It doesn't always work that way, but it will work better if you do certain things before you get to that appointment. So the questions you ask them are the most important thing. Any good salesperson is good at asking questions. Okay. It's not really rocket science. People think that once they get on the phone with somebody, the most important thing is, hey, let's figure out what kind of house they're looking for. Those aren't the important questions, whether they want a 2-story or a bungalow or a finished basement or an unfinished basement. These are like cookie cutter kind of questions. You got to get deeper into why they're doing what they're doing, when they want to do it, why they want it to be that long, when do they see themselves moving into the house, what's important for them. When you ask these kind of questions, you're building trust before the appointment happens. I'm pretty old school, so I use a lot of things like pre-qualification scripts, pre-listing kits, pre-buyer kits, things that most agents stopped using once social media came around. They've got away from the basics. And the reality is the basics is what's best. In any boxing match, you're still going to use the jab and the cross 95% of the time, the hook, right? There's other more fancy things you can do, but that's maybe only 5% of it. So the key is get really, really good at the basics. And what are the basics when it comes to real estate? Number one is once you get a lead, you need to use what we call a universal callback script. It was created by Proctor like in the early 2000s. I was coached by Craig Proctor. It's what all the big teams used for years. And now a lot of people and teams stopped using that. And I'm not really sure the reason. They think, now there's a better way. But the reality is, people haven't really changed that much. The only thing that's really changed is technology. Technology is not going to get you the sale. What's going to get you the sale is talking to people, asking the right questions, and building trust. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to share my screen here, and I want you guys to take notes because I don't have a PowerPoint made. So when I'm speaking, I want you guys to take notes of exactly, and I'm only going to give 4 steps. Now, the reason I'm only going to give 4 steps, there's more steps you can take, but then this presentation would be too long. So I'm going to talk about the 4 most important steps. The number 1 is the initial call. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen here. Sure you guys can see my screen now. I'm going to open the universal callback script. This is the one we use at Metro City, my team. I'm going to try and zoom. There we go. So this is the script we use. The original universal callback script looked a bit different. It was this. What to say when you follow up the buyer and seller prospect. So we kind of condensed it and we made it into this. And this is how it works. So a lead comes in, whether it's a buyer or a seller lead. It doesn't matter because you're going to find out on the call. So this is an example of the first step. So universal callback script. Hey, Steve Alexopoulos here, Metro City Property Group. The reason for my call is you had visited, www.123realty.com. Hey, just want to know how you're finding your search. Oh, yeah, everything looks good so far, blah, 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 blah. Now, you're not even asking them whether they want to buy or sell yet. You're asking them when they want to move. So, hey, just out of curiosity, were you planning on moving in the next 3 to 6 months? Yeah, I was planning on moving in the next 3 to 6 months. Okay, great. More specifically, when do you think that's going to be? It's going to be by, the end of spring, maybe next school year. Uh, yeah, I'd like to move probably by the summer. Okay, great. And this is the key question. Do you currently rent or do you own your own home? Now, why are you asking this? Because you want to know if there's a potential listing in the pipeline. Now, I'm always focused on listings. I'm always hunting for listings. If you want to be a good real estate agent, I mean, you can get there with buyers only, but the reality is if you want to be a champion, you need to have listings too. Why? Because listings create leverage. There's something in the book that, if you guys haven't read, you should read, called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. It's a great book to read, especially once you start real estate. It kind of gives you that kind of vision of what you want your business to look like. So, do you currently rent or do you own your own home? Yeah, I own my own home. Okay, great. Now, this is where people get things wrong. They start trying to ask them questions about the house. Oh, what kind of house do you like? Blah, 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 blah. If they want to list their own home, if they need to sell their house first, okay, you need to go for the close, okay? And the way you kind of position that is you say, hey, listen, hey, would love to come through your house to determine what the exact value is. At the same time, I'd like to give you tips on things to do and things not to do to ensure you get the most out of your home. And we'll even take you through a net sheet so you know what'll be left in your pocket after all the various closing costs. It's absolutely free, and there's no obligation to sell your home. Now, I don't even talk about the buy side yet. I'm only talking about the sell side. If they have a house they have to list, okay, you go right for it. So I'm going to go back to the original callback script. This is the correct one. Just going to open this up. Okay. So the question is, you currently rent your own home. Own. Would you like to sell your home before you buy a new one? Yes. Move to seller first immediately. This is the one I use. I gave you guys the kind of the original one. Hey, Team Metro City Property Group sell about 600 properties a year. We're ranked number one in volume. I'm the head listing agent on the team. And be able to net our clients 2 to 3% more money on average. I know it'd be very, very beneficial for us to come by and provide you with a free home evaluation at the same time, give you tips and tricks on things to do and to not to do, and ensure you get the most amount of money for your home. And we'll even give you a net sheet, so you know what's left in your pocket after all the closing costs. It's absolutely free, and there's no obligation to sell your home. Does that sound helpful? Yes. Boom, set your appointment. Hey, I can be by around this time, this time, this time. Give them a choice, and you go for the choice close. Okay. Now, if they currently rent, then you go here, renting. Okay, great. Are you currently on month to month? Are you in a longer term lease? Have you spoken to a lender about your pre-approval? If not, recommend a lender. If they're working with a bank, recommend the lender anyways. You want to get a lender on your side because they're going to be the ones that help you close the deal. Once they speak to the lender is going to they're going to elevate you. Okay, because the lender wants them to work with you because they're going to be working with the lender and you both get paid. Okay, so you let them know. Would it be okay if I had him reach? So let's kind of give an example. No, hey, don't have a lender. Hey, what I'd like to do is recommend that you speak with our in-house mortgage specialist. They'll be able to shop around different banks so that you have access to all the best rates in terms of the market and not be stuck just to one bank. Would it be okay if I had him reach out to you or her reach out to you? Great. So you go over this rent rate here, okay? What areas in town are you interested in living in? Are you currently working with a realtor? If yes, are you committed to that agent and have you signed your paperwork? If no, continue to the buyer offer. Now, let's say they just want to buy. What I think would be super helpful for you is to have our VIP home hunter service. We would be able to provide you with listings from all realtors, not just ourselves, that meet your specific home buying criteria. Our list also includes bank foreclosures, distress sales, company-owned properties, our own exclusive listings, and we list about 30 to 40 properties a month. We also have exclusive agreements with various builders in the area, and it's all free and there's no obligation. Would you have time to sit down and review all your criteria? I'm quite flexible. I can do days, evenings, weekends, and then you set up the appointment. Now, this isn't a universal callback script training session, but I'm just trying to give you the kind of the basics on what it would look like with the first call. The most important things, and like if you were to put this entire thing aside, okay, the most important things to know from the buyer is timing and motivation. Timing. When do you see yourself moving into your new home? You got to get specific. Okay, well, you know, if you're looking to actually be into that house by the end of the spring, it's a good idea we start looking now because by the time it closes, it's probably going to be the end of the spring. So kind of guide them towards the process of the when. So when, why, and what they're looking for. Those are the most important 3 questions that you need to know. Timing, motivation, when, why, what. Simple. It's more important to get to know them and their motivations and their timing than it is exactly what kind of house they're looking for. Because you're going to be finding most of that out regardless at the appointment that you set with them. Okay. Now, once you're done the call, you need to prepare them for what the next step is going to be looking like. And step number 2 is pretty simple. You let them know that you're going to be sending them, let's say it's a seller, for example. So everybody should have a pre-listing package. If you don't have a package that you're sending them before the appointment, then you're killing yourself, because this is a really, really good way to create more trust, brand recognition, and for them to really understand that you're a real person, a real company, and you're well organized. So, for example, we have this right here. It's kind of hard to see, it's a little blurry, but this says on it, the 7 steps to home seller success. So it's a package. It's got all the different steps we do for selling a house. So, hey, looking forward to seeing you on Thursday. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be mailing you our 7 steps to home seller success, so you can kind of get a better idea of what we're all about, and certain things that will affect the value of your home. So I'll be sending that to you in the mail via courier. Would that be okay? Yeah, great. So I've talked to them once now. I immediately send them this package. Now, if you don't want to use a courier service, just go drop it off at their house. Okay. And, even better, if you ring the doorbell, you introduce yourself. Hey, just wanted to leave you guys this package of, looking forward to seeing you on Thursday. It's another touch point. The more touch points before the appointment, the better. Because if you're going up against another agent and they've only talked to you once and you've talked to them multiple times and sent them a package and done a pre-qualification script, you're going to have a huge advantage. And, real estate's a super competitive business. So if you're competing against other agents, you need to stand out. What's going to make you stand out? Honestly, the thing that's going to make you stand out the most is more touch points. The more touch points you can make before the appointment, the better chance you're going to have of signing that listing or that buyer representation agreement. So I send them this in the mail. Okay. They get it, they read over it. They're like, wow, Steve, it's got a great company, it looks professional. The package is really nice. And then, they start talking to their friends about it. They start talking with their husband about it, their wife, whatever. Like, hey, drop me off this nice package. And they all start looking through it. It creates a lot of value. Trust me. It's worth the dollar or two it is to print it out. So if you don't have a pre-listing package, make a pre-listing package. Typically, in a pre-listing package, certain things you want to go over are what's going to affect the value of their house. So some of the ones that we have, you can write this down. You need to discuss pricing. So that's one of the bullet points. How to properly price the home in the right price range to gain the maximum value. Okay. Second one is condition. How to improve the market value based on the condition of the home and what they can do to increase the value based on the condition. Staging, we talk about. Marketing, communication, negotiation, and closing. Those are the 7 steps to home seller success. And if you can base your pre-listing package on those 7 points, you're gonna have a good pre-listing package. You could even go on YouTube, like if you're a single agent or whatever, you can go on YouTube. You can find ways to make really good pre-listing packages, but make sure you have one. You also need to have a buyer package. This one here. This is the 6 steps to home buyer success. Okay. I took the wrong one. Give me 1 second. So this one here is for buyers. This is the 6 steps to home buyer success. The bullet points on this one are: 1, representation, what buyer agency looks like. Number 2 is financing, whether you're paying for cash or a mortgage. Number 3 is the features. Number 4 is touring. Number 5 is negotiation. And number 6 is closing. We'll go over that one more time. Representation, financing, features, touring, negotiation, and closing. So if you're going on a buyer appointment, you send them this. If you're going on a seller appointment, you send them this. So that's the second touch point. Now, so for example, now I have the appointment tomorrow. I've already sent them the 7 steps to home seller success. Now, what happens between sending them that and going on the appointment? We call this listing pre-qualification questions. You're going to call them the night before or the day before the appointment to confirm the appointment. Okay? And this is the way the script is going to go. I'm just going to increase the size here. So this is the listing pre-qualification we have. So it starts off, give them a call, ring, ring. So, hey, Diana, how you doing? Looking forward to meeting you tomorrow. Just wanted to confirm our appointment. Everything's still good to go? Yes, great. So, hey, just a couple of quick questions before I come to meet you. Got a minute? Yes, great. So just tell me again where you're moving to. Now, some of these questions you may or may not have gotten answered already. Now, if they have already been answered, the way you word the question is a bit different. So let's say you already know they're moving to, I don't know, Banff, okay? So, hey, just want to confirm you guys are moving to Banff. You guys want to get your home sold. Yes, still moving to Banff. Great. Are you guys looking to buy as well? No, we're not really looking to buy. We just want to sell. We got the place that, we're going to be renting. Okay. Ideally, when do you want to be there? When do you want to have this property sold by? We want to have it sold by X date. Okay, great. And what's the reason for the move? Now, if you already know the reason for the move, you just repeat what they told you originally on the question. Hey, just want to make sure the reason for the move, you guys wanted to downsize, get out of town. You got some family there. Just want to confirm that. Yeah. Now, the reason I'm repeating it is because I want to prove to them that I was listening on the first consultation, the first phone call. Again, building trust. It always looks bad if you forget all these things, okay? So if you learn about them, write them down and repeat it to them on this call. Now, here's a very, very important one. And everyone's afraid to ask this question because I want to say 70% of the time you're going to get pushback from the seller. You're going to say, hey, what are you looking to achieve in terms of sales price? Now, the reason you're asking that question is because you want to see how realistic they are. Now, if you know their home is worth around 700 and their home is, they think it's worth 900, you're going to have a handful, and you're not really working with realistic sellers, right? In this case, sellers. So it's important to know that because you want to know what you're going to be up against when you go to the appointment. Now, most of the time, they're going to come back and they're going to say, well, isn't that what you're here for? We want to hear what you have to say. And your answer to that is going to be like, hey, totally understand. Definitely going to be giving you guys a really, really thorough comparative market analysis. We just like to know a lot of the times what our sellers are expecting, just to make sure that, we're aligned properly and that, we're being realistic. So just out of curiosity, have you seen some properties that have sold around your area? Have your neighbors talked to you about price? What do you believe your home is worth? Like I push hard, really hard for this all the time. It's literally one of the most important questions for me because now I know what they think it's worth, and I'm gonna have to do a really damn good job on showing them that their house probably isn't worth that, right? And I even let them know, like, listen, hey, a lot of the times people think their home is worth much more than it is. And the reality is, I'm not always telling you what you want to hear. I'm telling you what you need to hear in order to get your home sold because I'm not here to just list your property. I'm here to sell your property. Most agents, they just want to put the house on the market to get buyers. We're here to actually sell your listing. So you get the sales price. Great. So could you describe your home for me? And then they'll just be like, oh, it's a, two-story, blah, 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 blah. You want to get an idea of a lot of the times people they're so in love with their house. And you know that that's probably the reason that they think it's worth way more than it is. So you want to get them to describe the home for you in their words. Okay. This is all psychology. Another important question. What upgrades have been done? We did this, this, that. Okay, what's the age of the roof, the furnace, the AC? You want to know the age of the roof, furnace, and AC before you get to the property. That'll give you a better idea of what the home value is going to be. So you're prepping yourself for what's to come. Okay. Another super, super important question, and it actually baffles me that people still don't ask this. Will everyone on title be present? Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because let's say you go there and you're meeting the husband, for example, and the wife's not there and she's on title. There's a 0% chance you're going to get that listing signed. Remember, we're doing all these things in order for you to get the listing signed before you leave the front door. That's the plan. That's the mission. Every listing appointment I go into, I bring my listing paperwork, and my goal is to have them sign before I leave. Whether they're meeting with other agents or not, whether they need to think about it or not, doesn't matter. And I mean, that's a whole other topic. But my goal is when I get there, I want to be so prepared and I want them to have enough touches where they're comfortable signing with me by the time I get there. And that's why these calls are important. It's not just to learn about the house and learn about them. It's to build trust, to have enough touches where you don't have to follow up after the appointment because you've already done enough follow up before the appointment. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So let's say they tell you, yeah, my wife's on title, but she's not going to be there. Your answer to that is McKay. Totally understand. I think, and this is where you're going to have to probably reschedule the appointment. Okay. It's very important that everyone on title is present. And the reason for that is I'm going to be going over a lot of information about your home and about the services that we offer to get your property sold for top dollar. So, I wouldn't want to come to your house, show you everything, and then, have to show your wife as well. It would be best if everyone on title is present. With that being said, is there another time that would work for you where both you and your wife will be together? Yeah, and then you're literally going to have to reschedule it. But you're better off rescheduling the appointment with both of them being there than going on the appointment with only one of them there. Because if you go on the appointment with one of them there, you're not getting that listing signed. And then if another agent comes in and they're both there, well, guess what? They're probably going to sign and you're going to lose a listing. So you want to do it properly the first time. Don't be so hung up on just going on appointments. You want to go on the appointment the right way. Everything needs to be lined up perfectly because the goal is that you get things signed then and there. Okay. This is a typo. I sent over a package of information to your front door. Were you able to take a look at it? So, hey, I sent over a package to your front door. Were you guys able to take a look at it? Yeah, it was great. 7 steps, home seller success, really loved it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Are you planning to interview more than one agent for the job of selling your home? Remember, this is also very important because you want to know what you're up against. If you're going to be the only agent going, perfect. That's the best. But if you know that they're going to be interviewing 2 or 3 other agents, you're going to have to try and close that in there. So that, and people always ask, like, is it better to go like be the first agent there or the last agent there? Historically speaking, it's typically better to be the last agent there because you have a better chance of signing it then and there. However, there's other methods to get it signed before the agent even comes. And that's a whole other topic. Okay. But again, you're preparing yourself, right? Now, here's the most important question. And this is the one that nobody wants to ask because it might come off to you as a little aggressive. But remember, it's setting up. Number one, you're figuring out. You're figuring out how motivated they are and what kind of personality they are. And the question goes like this. This is the ultimate question. If the numbers work and you're confident with our marketing initiatives, would you have us list the home and handle the marketing and exposure of your property? If the numbers work and you're confident with the marketing initiatives, would you have us handle the marketing and exposure of your property? Would you have us handle the listing? So you're putting them on the spot a little bit, but typically they'll say, yeah, like, hey, if the numbers work and we like you, then yeah, we'll do it. And what you're doing there is you're setting them up for the potential that if they're impressed, they're going to sign with you that day. It's psychology. As soon as they say yes to that, you have a very good chance of getting that listing signed then and there at the appointment. Okay, I'm going to move back. And you say, hey, looking forward to seeing you. I'll be there Thursday at 7 p.m. Have a great evening. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? And I know I just fired through a bunch of stuff. Okay, so I'll do a quick little recap. Universal callback script, first point. Timing and motivation, most important things. Setting up the appointment, letting them know that you're dropping off a package to their front door on the 7 steps of home seller success. Okay. They get the package. The next day, you follow up with the pre-qualification script. You go over the pre-qualification script. That was the third touch already. First one was the call. Second one was the information package. Third one was the pre-listing qualifications. Now they've gotten 3 touches from you and you haven't even met them yet. Simple. There's more that you can do, but we're going to focus on those 3. Now, you're going to be going on the appointment, and I'm talking about the seller appointment specifically here. Okay. You get to the front door. The first thing you do, you introduce yourself. You want to be dressed well. You want to be presented well. But the first thing that you do is you put your stuff down. I always ask for a glass of water. And you let them know how this entire process is going to go. You're going to say, hey, first thing we're going to do, you're literally going over the gears of selling here. You're telling them, this is what we're going to do. Okay. First thing is we're going to walk around the home and you're going to tell me everything about the home. You're going to show me. And I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions just so I can get a really good idea of everything there is about this house. Okay. Once that's done, we're going to go over a listing presentation. I'm going to be showing you exactly what we do to sell your home fast and for more money. Simple. You can add to that how we get you this much percent more, whatever it is that your shtick is. Okay. But in my case, to say, hey, we're going to take a little walk around the house. You're going to tell me everything you know about the house. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. Second thing we're going to do is I'm going to be showing you exactly what we do to get you 2 to 3% more money and to get your home sold as quick as possible. Okay. And then the third thing is, if we're going to be showing you the price of your home, because I know that's the most important thing for you, right? And if all those things line up, then, we can get the chance to work together. So you're preparing them for the close there too. You're preparing them for step one in the gears of selling, which I call the warm up. And during the warm up, when you're walking around the house with them, not only are you asking them questions about the house, you're also asking them questions about them. You're trying to build rapport. That's your rapport building time. It should take about 15 minutes. You see, like, for example, I went on one, the last one I went on, they had there's like a picture on on the fridge of like their kid doing karate. And I'm like, hey, I see your kid does karate. I do martial arts as well, blah, blah, blah. Build some kind of rapport. So you're getting to know them on a personal level during that walk, and you're getting to know the house, getting to know the person, getting to know the house. 15 minutes while you're walking around the house. The reason for that is you're doing it at that point because once you sit down for the presentation, that's showtime. That's when you're in control. And you got to go over the beginning of the presentation to the end of the presentation. Okay. And during that time, you want to make sure that you're like, because they're going to be trying to interrupt you. They're going to be like halfway through the presentation. Hey, what's your commission? Hey, great question. I'll definitely be getting to that. But first, I just want to cover, what we're doing to get you more money for your home. But we'll definitely get to that at the end. And then you continue on with the presentation. And then they might interrupt you again. Hey, what's the house worth? Hey, great question. We're definitely going to get to that at the end. First, I just want to show you what we're doing, what we're going to do for you guys with regard to marketing. And then you get back on track. You need to get from point A to point Z. They're going to try and take you off track, and you got to get back on track because you got to get to the end. Then after that presentation is done, that's when you go for the close. But notice that throughout this whole process, I've been prepping them for the fact that I'm going to be getting that listing signed that day when we meet. I did it on the pre-qualification already. I told them if the numbers make sense and you're happy with our marketing initiatives, would you consider having us listing the property? Yes. Okay. I also did it when I got to the house. If the numbers make, and after the presentation, if the numbers make sense and you're happy with the marketing initiatives, then we can work together. So I'm prepping them like I'm almost like I'm assuming the sale. In sales, that's a very common term, assuming the sale. I'm assuming the sale multiple times, even before I get to the close. Remember, you're slowly warming them up, right? You're slowly warming them up throughout the whole process so that when it comes time to do the close, it's a smoother close. Okay. So I went through the house. I sat down with them. I went over the whole presentation. And then and I'm gonna give you guys a good method on how to close, soft close. And it goes back to like everything that I've been talking about. I say at the end of the presentation, hey, what did you think of the marketing? They thought it was great. I haven't even gotten to the comparative market analysis yet. I haven't even told them how much their home is worth yet. I haven't gotten to that yet. All I've done is show them all the marketing we're going to do for them. And then I hit them with this question. And they say, hey, the marketing looked good. Okay, great. Now I'm going to show you comparative market analysis. If the numbers make sense and we can agree on a price, would you have us handle the marketing and exposure of your property? That's the magic line. Okay. If they say yes, you got yourself a listing. Even before, even before you tell them the price. Now, all you need to do is agree on a price and you got the listing. They've already agreed that they'll list your house if the numbers make sense. Okay. That's kind of how that whole process works. Now, I know I skipped around a lot. The most important thing is multiple touch points before you actually get on the appointment. Okay. Multiple touch points. The more touch points you have before you get to that appointment, the better chance you're going to have of signing that listing. And and this is just the simple one. Start off with 4. If you can think of more, like for example, I have some agents that they'll drop cookies off at their house, or they'll drop off a personal note. Okay, there's so many different ways you can send them a market report. These are all different touches that you can do before you get on the appointment to build trust, show value, and make sure that you get the listing signed before you even show up. A lot of people always miss these steps. You got to go back to the basics. And I can guarantee you, some of you guys here right now, you're probably not doing all the steps properly. You're probably not doing enough touches before you go on the appointment. And then you wonder why you're not getting the listing signed and somebody else is. Well, if you just set up the appointment and go on the appointment, you're not getting this, you're not going to sign it. They need to trust you. And if you've only talked to them once, how much can they really trust you? But if you've talked to them 2, 3 times, you sent them a market report, you sent them a listing package, okay, called them the night before, pre-qualification, asked them some deep, challenging questions, then you show up to the house and you reiterate what you've already sent them, reiterate their motivation, their timing, kill the presentation, and then you have a super solid ending closing statement. If the numbers make sense, which you have us handle the marketing exposure of your property, then everything is going to be much smoother and it's not going to be a super, super hard close. So those are the 4 steps that I use. Okay. You can go beyond that. The more you do, the more touches you do, the better it is. But again, you need at least those 4. You have those 4 in order, because a lot of you get busy. You do if you go on a lot of appointments, sometimes you don't have time for 10 touches, but I can guarantee you have time for 4 touches. 4 touches, in my opinion, is enough, but the more the better. Does anybody have any questions on that? Doesn't look like it. So that's it, guys. If you guys want more information on this, shoot me a message on Instagram. You can email me. You can text me. I'm sure everyone here has access to me. So if you want more information on it, or you want actual scripts on it, just let me know, and I can help you out.